All right, we are here, everyone. We are doing this critique. We got a nice critique by Tim Kruger of he's in Costa Mesa, California, I believe, and he did a video critique. We're currently trying to get that over to the blog site, but if you're not sure what's going on, this is a YouTube video, of course. We got a critique going over at the blog, and so please participate if you can, and if you'd like your own images critique now or in the future, go ahead and make sure you leave a critique of your own, and that'll probably increase your chances of being critiqued yourself. Okay, so I will go ahead and put the link up. It's pechephoto.com, and then you just got to scroll down to the most current blog on my homepage, and it's right there, and you'll see this image as a thumbnail. Okay, so let's get right in here. And I just sort of loaded these into Photoshop, so because I felt like, especially for this first one, we kind of needed to zoom in. Now, one of the things I want you guys to really follow, I know I wrote this out, but I'd really rather you didn't read all the critiques before you left your own critique. I think that's a real big problem if you think about it. You know, this same problem might come up for teachers where they grade tests. It's called the halo effect. You know, they're grading a test, and it's sort of related with us. Like, we might read a critique and be really influenced. So try and, when you come to at least my particular critiques, try and get there and just leave your critique right away. Don't read other people's. Like, for example, I got Tim's critique. I've been trying to do this one before I watched his. Like I said, we're currently trying to get his over there. But okay. That was a long intro, so let's just get right in here. And the first thing I'll say is, from afar, this image is looking so great, and I love how clean the ceiling is. And I personally feel like this image, and we're going to try and zoom out at the end, hopefully I don't forget to do this, and sort of critique the overall feel and color consistency of the photo set, because that's another place I wanted to go when people submitted multiple images like this. But for this particular image, if you notice, I'm actually in Photoshop right now, so it's very nice. I can actually come over here, and let me just grab this and see what we got going there. Let me see. I'm not in my normal I'm not in my normal photography. I'm doing some other work. But right now, see, he's getting that ceiling. If you can't see it, it's exactly neutral, and that's what I was going to say. It looked that way to me. It's exactly neutral. The RGB values are exactly. So my opinion on that, and that was kind of my feeling when I saw that, is you don't, it's a little bit too, what's the word, maybe sterile when you do that. It just feels kind of like you might want to do that if you were doing like a photograph for like a medical facility or something. We want to be a little bit on the warm side, I feel. This is a little bit feeling too sterile, and like I said, a good way to sort of confirm that is to go ahead and get that. I always mix them up, but the eyedropper tool or the color sampler tool is actually what it is, and go ahead and lay down a point, and you can check out the RGB values. And if your red is a little bit higher than the green and the blue, that means you're favoring the warm side. So something I might do, this is just a little, maybe a trick. I kind of like the warmth in these lights right here. Do you see that light right there? I mean, I know it's not even on, but I know this would work here anyway. I want to warm this image up. There is a number of different ways to do this, but I could just get a color layer right here. I just got a blank layer, and I changed that to color, and I'll come over here, and I'm just going to simply sample this color in here. Just sample it. It's a nice warm color, and it's going to kind of go through the room. I never do this, but I'm just saying I do this sometimes with lights when they're on, and I'm just going to blanket the photo with that color, and then I'm just going to come up here and sort of tone down the fill on that. And I feel like once I start getting the 3, 2, 3, 4, 5%, it might start, and in this case it looks like about 4 or 5%, and it's hardly noticeable. But if I go ahead, let's go ahead and go back up to 5. Let's just put another color sampler up there like we had before. I wasn't actually planning on doing photo editing work in this edit, but it just came up that way. And see, we're getting slightly descending RGB values now, if you can see that. It's 241, 240, 239. So that might be a way I handle it. If you want it a little bit warmer, of course you could tone that back up. But I feel like major critique here is that sterile, really right on values as far as your whites go is a little bit too sterile for real estate photography, especially in my opinion. Okay, some of the major stuff that I didn't like in this photo was over here on the window, and I know he's using flash, so I don't know if his flash frame wasn't quite getting this far, so he might have got like a quick flash frame and it just wasn't, there's that whole inverse square law, and he might just not have got enough on that window over there. But that's one of the major things I'm really not happy with in this photo, is that sort of you need to get a little bit more light on that, and then that'll just sort of take care of your window pull. So I know Trace, and I know how he works for the most part, and I just because I've collaborated with him a lot, just in the Flickr group in the past, and I can pretty much see what he's doing here, and I feel like his window should have been taken care of. I feel like, because I know he flashed, and I feel like the window should have been just left alone more from that flash frame, and somehow he didn't do that. So my biggest problem with this photo, we talked about the too much neutrality, but even to sort of a layman, if we get down here and we can see this is caused by his flash frame. You see that color? It almost looks like, I can see a client actually being a little unhappy with that, like seeing that and saying, what is that? And you can see it in here too. And that's his flash frame, was causing shadows. And the major problem I personally see with this photo is it's just too heavy on the ambient. I feel like he should get that. I never saw the flash frame, mind you, but I feel like you should take that flash frame and just brush a little bit of ambient in. Like up here is a good area that always just sort of sells the eye, right by the window. That'll just sort of sell people, oh yeah, it's brighter right there, right by the window. Just do a couple little strokes on a low flow up here, and maybe one or two here. And you know what? Technically you are going to actually be getting these problems when you do what I say. Like, let's say you want to brush a little bit of ambient over on the bed, you're technically, and if you're not following what's going on here, by the way, you go ahead and jump over and check out the course. I have it right on the website there, the One Light course, and you'll know what's going on. But he's pretty much just trying to brush this in on luminosity mode, and it's causing these weird funky colors in the shadows. But the main thing I want to point out is if you brush in little bits of ambient and do it more selectively, like you could brush it in on the bed here and even over here where these areas here, but my point is if you're brushing in very lightly, like for example, here's one of the worst areas I see. Let's just zoom in just to make this point. Here's one of the worst areas I see in the photo. If you just brushed it in really lightly here, like a nice little swipe across there, that color shift right there might exist, but it's not going to be nearly this bad. It's not even going to be detectable, okay? And that's the way I usually handle my luminosity layers. I just brush in touches, and yeah, technically if a forensic scientist got in there and examined my photo, you might find there's a little weird little color shift there, but to the average viewer, they're never going to see that. So that's sort of how I handle using my luminosity layers. But another thing I'd recommend, since he did have quite a few problems here, I would recommend going ahead and trying to get your ambient frames just on normal mode. Just try and get in that habit when possible. And that's going to be tough sometimes because it's hard to match the colors in the flash frame and the ambient frame, but in this case it should have been very easy. I would say just white balance off of something like right here in the flash and the ambient frame, because you don't want to white balance off something off this wall, because that's going to give you a much funkier, because this wall right here is being lit by stuff in the room. You want to be white balancing off something that's lit by the major light source in the room, which is this window right here. So white balance the flash and the ambient frame off this wall. They should blend really well together. You don't even need the luminosity. All right. And see, there's a big problem over here, and I feel like it's caused by the same thing. That looks so extreme to me, and I feel like I've never even seen that in the coming in like that on the luminosity layers. So that might be caused by something else. I'm not sure, but I'm sure he just brushed in, and sort of his shadows somehow getting those shadows coming through. Same problem like we were talking about before, but somehow it got really exacerbated, and I'm not sure exactly what caused that. Some kind of saturation after the fact or something. I don't feel like I've ever seen it that bad, so I could be wrong about what caused that, but whatever it is, that was a little issue in the photo. Yeah, we spent a little bit more time on this one, but I'm going to try and go a little bit quicker. I like what he's done here. I like the overall feel and the cleanliness of it. Like I said, I would have just cleaned it up. Let me take my layer back off, just so I should have probably done that earlier. And yeah, I just didn't like the fact that it was feeling a little bit too sterile. But I like this. I like that he included, I like the way what he's done here with the composition, and I definitely like the overall composition. I mean, I think he did perfect here for a real estate photo. You don't want to come in anymore. If I did come in a little bit tighter on the crop here, I would personally want to move this light over, because this is about right. It's looking good to me. Right, so the comp is good, everything's good. So let's move on. We can't do a 2-hour critique here, so let's move on. I think some of those same points may apply to the coming photos. I haven't actually looked through them though, so not sure. So take care of your window better with the flash frame. Try not to I feel like it got messed up with your ambient frame, and there's just too much ambient here overall for me. That's the main thing I see with this photo. Let's see how I'm doing this. I got them in tabs up here. I'm probably going in a different order than what's out there on the website. So let me just get in here and check this one out. Now, this photo, I really feel like he should have dropped down on his shutter speed here. Let's just say, I'm going to guess, right? Okay, it's a total guess. Let's just say he's at 1/10. I think he should go maybe maybe even 2 stops, maybe 1 stop for sure, maybe even 2 stops darker than that, and just light the room with flash. I personally, yeah, see, he's getting some color problems here, and that's again probably caused by going back from his flash frame and brushing in some ambient on luminosity mode, and it's just looking like it's causing him some problems. So what I would advise is, first of all, take care of those lights, and you want them to be reasonably controlled and maybe a couple stops darker. And I know that's going to make your out here go a little haywire, but you know, we got to deal with stuff like that. I usually just walk back there and flash it when that happens, and then layer it on. But yeah, I'd like to see those more well controlled, so faster shutter speed. And then I just think, Trace, you're personally, from the first 2 photos I've seen, maybe trying to mix in too much ambient. And if you want to go that way, I'd say if you're really trying to work and make your photos have a more ambient feel, I would say start off with an ambient layer as your base, and then mix in little bits of flashes. And what it looks like I saw in your last 2 photos is this one, I don't know, it looked like, especially the last one, you're starting off with flash and then mixing in too much ambient. You got to sort of decide if you want your photo based in flash or based in ambient, and that's going to decide what's going to be your bottom layer. If you want it to be more just that ambient feel, you're going to probably want an ambient base layer. And I feel like maybe in this one, but definitely in the last one, what he did was he had a flash frame, but he sort of based the photo in ambient, but he brushed all the ambient in. It was too much, and that might have been what happened here too. I just think more flash and a faster shutter speed is my short version of that. Let's move on here. Alright, and this looks great. See, I like photos like this for real estate. There's really easy ways to take care of this stuff in the field, and some of you guys know I've covered, and maybe even some of my videos on YouTube, but you can just take these out without cloning. We won't go all into it right now, but I kind of like this door. And sometimes, a little tip for you guys listening out there, I'll actually use a vertical like this on the edge of my frame, and I might, in this case for example, just turn let's say I got my composition, I'm right here, I'm in my composition spot. I might turn my gear head a little bit to the right so that this is right on the edge of my frame, and then if it's perfectly up and down, I turn it back, and I know I'm level, right? And that way I don't have to do anything in post. And so that's one little thing I do often to get my verticals right where I want them in the field, and I don't have to monkey with them at all in post. But I like this composition. I like I think he has a really good feel for this stuff. And this one feels more based in flash, and this is by far my favorite photo so far. I just feel like he got a good mix in there, and I don't see the color problems. If anything, I tend to get a little picky about colors on couches, sort of getting inconsistent through the couch. And like if he would have got a really powerful flash frame as another separate frame, he could have just laid it on the top layer and just sort of brushed over this and turned the the blending mode to color, and it would have just sort of cleaned all that up, you know, and like made it nicer color. Like, see how it's getting sort of changing colors everywhere. That's just one thing that you can sort of play with. But I like this photo, and I like it, and I think it's a really good. I just, some of the, like, you see we're getting, and that's natural to get sort of those color variations going from here to here, but I feel like a stronger flash layer probably would have taken care of that. And I shouldn't assume too much. I know exactly how he processed and shot this. But yeah, I think on this one, I'm even wanting him to go a little bit more powerful on his. I want people in general for real estate photography to be using flash frames as base, and then to come in and just brush in little bits of ambient. Just little bits, you know, in little places. Maybe even on luminosity mode might work. And you know, not go overboard with it. That way, like I was saying in that first one, you don't get those color problems. They're there, but they exist, but only a forensic scientist is going to be able to spot it, right? Only like a guy getting in there, zooming into 2,000 times. Okay, you're not going to see them if you're doing what I say. Just sort of tricking people's eye into turning the light around is what I like to call it. You're just tricking their eye a little. Just brushing in touches of the ambient a lot of times will do it. So let's get out of here again. I think we got that one. I think he did a good job on that one. And let's get in here again. Let's get rid of this stuff. Okay. Yeah, I think it's good to show this. I wonder if it's funny because I have my tools in here so I can actually do this stuff. I feel like it looks like this. I don't know, my eye did catch that. So it looks like this could have just been pulled up just a tad, this thing. This side, you know, on the verticals, I mean the horizontals, I should say. So that's something to be, it's so easy for our eye, for whatever reason, to be able to see that. I don't know why, but verticals I feel like aren't as bad. Like we can't spot them, but the horizontals, I feel like you got to get right on. It's interesting, isn't it? The verticals can be like a little third of a degree off. It's usually not that bad, but try and get those horizontals right on. I gotta say, I don't know, there's something, maybe he was trying to show these doors, and also, this might work too, because he's trying to show sort of the flow, and that looks like the entryway right there, so he maybe had to show this, and yeah, I don't have too many thoughts on this. My first thing was I wasn't too crazy about the composition, but he is showing those doors that I'm sure is a cool feature, and that entryway. And there's probably not a lot of other ways to do that. All right. So we're going to move on. I didn't have too much to say. Oops. These damn scroll wheels on the mouse. I don't like those. All right. Yeah, let's move on. So I'm on 5. Let's see. Let's get in. All right. And yeah, I think a general theme, what I'm seeing is I want them to be using more flash. And a lot of people teaching nowadays, I feel like a lot of the stuff I hear, people are sort of swaying people to go more natural, and I don't know, I don't really agree with that. I feel like that's sort of for people who are able to do work where they get to turn out all the lights and stuff. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times advice comes from people, and it may apply to their everyday work, but that's sort of a problem with us sometimes. So I'd like to see his work more based in flash, like maybe a flash layer from the left side of this island, and then a flash layer from the right side, and then combine those, and then just sort of work from there. You know, I feel like it's just not based enough in flash to me, and you're just getting all these just sort of mixing ambient light from behind us. And I feel, personally, I don't feel like there's any flash in here. I could be wrong, but it just feels like a ambient photo, which the only time I'm a big fan of ambient photos is when there's one window and the light's just streaming in and all the lights are off. In those cases, I don't mind them. But in a case like this, the light coming from back there just tended to flatten everything out, and you're getting all these. It's just the contrast doesn't feel that good, and I just feel like it needs that extra crispness that flash gives us, that a more flash-based photo will give us. Let's get in here to the. Alright, so this is the same space. Let's see. And it looks like he's going more ambient here. It's cool. He got that in. I might have even. Yeah, he got that mountain in. That's good. I know that's probably a selling point. He lives in Tucson, by the way, so he's got some cool views out his windows. Yeah, some of the same stuff I've been saying. I feel like personally this is too much ambient for me. I feel like that. Just not quite crisp enough or something. I wonder how. I'm curious. Maybe he'll leave a comment down there how he's done most of these. But I like this one better than the last one though. A lot better. It's a lot more crisp and stuff. So that's good. I'm just I'm trying to decide if I like these lights on or off, and sometimes this happens and I just don't think it looks good. But yeah, let's move on. A lot of times when stuff like that, I'll just go ahead and swipe over them just real quick. Not even with the clone stamp, but the other one, the healing brush tool or whatever. They'll go right away. All right, so yeah, if he did get flash in here, I'd like to see even a little bit more maybe. Let's move on. And I think we're doing pretty good on time now, so maybe we can delve into a couple of these a little bit more. Feels like something happened here, like you used a little bit longer lens or something, and you might have got the focus. That's why I'm trying to tell people to manually focus, because what I do is I just focus one time every day and I just leave my focus. But if he's using autofocus, I bet what happened is he's on a little bit longer focal length, and of course what autofocus does, it thinks your subject is in the foreground, right? Because humans are in it, it'll focus right here, and then guess what? Your focus point is like 3 or 4 feet away, and then this back here is looking like it's getting a little soft to me. So you gotta watch out. I encourage people to, well, I always use a wide angle lens, and I focus, in this case you might want to focus like say right here, right at the base of this chair right here. That would be a good spot, like right in this area somewhere. And then you can pretty much just leave your focus there all day if you're shooting wide and like f8 or something. That's what I do. I just leave it in the same spot all day. I don't even touch my focus. All right, so that was I feel like a little error there, unless I'm getting too small a file or something, which I don't think. I think it's the focus is a little off here. But yeah, I think once again, I think Trace, of course, can take my comments with a grain of salt, because I feel like from what I've seen and his work in the past, he's going a little bit more ambient now, which is fine. I have been discouraging him from that in this critique, but if that's where you feel like going, I think that's good. But I just feel like most of the stuff I've been looking at needs a little bit more flash. And I'd like to see more flash in this one too, just a little bit. This one is getting there though. I think he used flash on this. I'm curious about his processing now though, because I look at the windows sometimes and it doesn't look like they've been flashed. I just feel like your windows should be taken care of with your flash frames pretty much, and you shouldn't get in there and mess with them at all. And like we saw in that first one where there was some haze around it and stuff. So yeah, this is my major critique throughout this set so far. Let me get in here. Let me just get rid of these. Should have done that from the start. Yeah. Well, for completeness, we'll get that one out. All right. Okay, and yeah, I guess maybe some of the stuff I've been saying is it looks like there's more flash in this one, and I'm feeling better, and I'm curious if he has anything to say about what I'm saying, because maybe especially the one where we're looking back at just the island, I felt like that one was really, but this one is looking a lot better to me, cleaner, and yeah, I like this one a lot more, just more flash in there. Just give myself a second to think here sometimes. Yeah, I think this photo is really doing a good job of showing the space and everything. I'm wondering, one of the things I've seen so far, we're going to see, I think there's only one more photo, is I know that it looks like there's beautiful views out here, and I really think he might have had it. This isn't the whole photo set, of course, but I feel like he should have definitely, what I usually do is I just try and forget all the furniture and forget the space, and I'll do something like stand behind this couch and do a 1 point, and I'm pretty much just showing the view out the windows. You see what I'm saying? I'm showing the windows, almost like an art piece hanging on the wall, and it's not even about the space necessarily in front of the photo. It's just about what people are going to see on their couch. And I'm wondering if he did that, and I think there's only one more photo. And see, he didn't do that, so he might have had that in the other photos in the set that he didn't show to us. So that might be one thing I'd have to say about this overall set, though. Yeah, it looked like there was a view out there, so I'd say he maybe should have done a little bit better job about showing that if he didn't. Let me find that one I'm talking about, these hills out here. See what I was saying before, I might want to do a 1 point from right around here in this area and just show these hills out here. Alright, so let's get in here. This is the last one. And another thing is he's really done a better job in a lot of these photos as compared to that first one where he was getting a lot more color problems, so that's good. Whatever he did in here is a lot better. And this is obviously from his flash frame, this little shadow right here, I'd say that looks like it's from his flash frame. You can usually take care of stuff like that if you'd like, just by using the ambient frame on normal blend mode, and just make sure you match the two frames up, the flash and the ambient frame, reasonably well, and your soft brushes should just take care of being able to brush them in. And I really like how he's done this back here. This is one of my favorite parts of this photo, how he's handled this back here. It just adds some real clean, it makes the photo feel really professional, because it's so easy for us to let these go and let them sort of turn yellow because that's what they naturally will be, because we'll be raising the light level in here and then these will sort of turn to go like the incandescent lights, right? And it'll turn yellow, but he took care of that, which is good. And yeah, this is one of my favorite ones. See this little wedge down here? A lot of times what I'll do is I'll go ahead and use flash, and I'll still, because it's a lot easier to brush in, I'll actually stand in the way, and like this sun now is hitting my back or my legs or whatever, and I've sort of gotten all these weird frames where I'm contorting my body, but yeah, and then you flash still, and then you're really easily able to just brush in this area without the sun, because this is a little distracting. It's not necessarily bad. I really like it over here, but I feel like this is distracting, and that's how I take care of that a lot of times. Like I was saying, I just sort of arc my body over and get it, and then get a flash frame with it, and that tends to brush in. If you don't get it with a flash frame, that's not going to mix with your other flash frames, right? So you don't want to do that. It's better than nothing to have an ambient with no flash and to get that out, but it's better than not having it. But you could actually clone this out too, but it might be a little tricky. Anyway, that's enough talk about that. But yeah, this looks, I'm liking the way his couches look here. But yeah, what I saw in his work, and he's doing really well. I mean, I don't feel like he hardly needs my advice, to be honest. He's doing awesome. Trace is I feel like I think I mentioned earlier, I feel like earlier I saw his work and it was a little bit more flash based, and I feel like right now he's trying to make more natural photos, I'll call it, and I think I tend to favor the more flash look, and I feel like this tends to follow that pattern, especially in this area, like a nice flashy look, nice and clean. And I'm gonna check on him here. Let me get rid of that again. And because it feels like I saw that again. Let me see this one. And yeah, I can see that dipping down the same way as that other one. So you might want to just pull this side up a little bit on that one. It really is important to get those horizontals. I swear, it's some optical illusion where the verticals aren't it might be like a sin to say this as an interiors photographer, but your verticals aren't quite as important as the horizontals, because I swear verticals can be, I don't know the exact number, like 1/3 of a degree off or something, because I do it all the time. I'll have verticals that are a little bit off and I just won't touch them, and they look fine. But when you get the opposite and you get those horizontals, it doesn't really look fine. Alright, so that's it. That was my quick version. Thanks everyone for participating. Thank you, Trace, and thanks Tim. And there was somebody else, and I forget your name, that's left a critique already in the comment section. We'll try and get Tim's video down there soon. We'll see if we can get that. I know it's in one of the Facebook groups right now, so that's cool. The members of the Quit Your Job course are going to be able to see that in there. But yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget, stop over to the website at Peche Photo if you want to participate. There's a bunch of fun stuff going on over there. Just check out the last blog if you want to be filled in, the one before this one. And I will see you very soon. And thanks for watching.